Right, here we go. So I was so excited to film this one today that it's the first thing I've done. I've literally just come into this co-working space and set up the camera and I'm ready to go. I don't actually script these videos. I just have a few ideas down, do it in one take and just do it off the cuff. I just think that's just the way I enjoy doing stuff. I think I'd actually just resent the process if I was sitting there for hours trying to script it out and trying to make it perfect because that's not really me. So the topic of today's video is why I believe that 10 to 15% body fat is the sweet spot for men. I believe that all men should aim to get to and maintain between 10 to 15% body fat. And I've got a few topics or a few things that I'll discuss as why I think that is. And obviously going through my own experience with clients as well. This is the sort of data that I've collected. So number one, which is the obvious one, you look great. Like, there's no denying between 10 to 15% body fat, you're defined, you're lean, likely you're in the best shape that you've ever been in your life. And that's a fact. So because of that, your confidence is high. There's no denying that you are going to be very, very confident. There's no denying that you will be able to take your top off on the beach and not have to worry about it, not have to stress about it. And you just know you look good. Every day you can look yourself in the mirror, be proud of how you look and feel good and feel confident in clothes, out of clothes, on holiday. Like that for me is the biggest thing that I have noticed. Not the most important one, and I'll go over what's the most important to me, but that's one of them. And that kind of leads into the next point, is that you're ready for anything, right? You are literally ready for anything, because if you sit between 10 to 15% body fat, your fitness levels are high and obviously you're in great shape. So if someone says, like we're going on holiday in 6 weeks, you don't have to diet for it. You're already in great shape. If someone says you want to go do a high rocks or a marathon, you're already fit, so you can go and do that. You're ready for any event that crops up, and you haven't now got to go through this process where you're always looking to like diet down every single summer and always go for a fat loss phase. If you're always between 10 to 15% body fat, you are literally always ready for anything that you want to be ready for. And I think that's a great position to just sustain and keep yourself at. Also, when you kind of look into it, and now I'm actually thinking about this, wasn't something I thought about, is one of the other reasons why 10 to 15% body fat I think all men should be there is because any above that, like once you're like, it depends how much muscle you have, once you're like 16, 17, especially going towards 20, you're missing out on a few kilos that can make a huge difference in your physique. You're in that spot where a lot of guys stay stuck. And the reason why they stay stuck is that they're not willing to push that last little stretch of their fat loss phase, that last little bit of their diet. And they stay between like 15 or maybe like 17 to 20%. And although you look good at that, it's not that you're going to, no, I'm not going to say anyone looks bad at 18% body fat. I'd be pretty mad to say that. But you're missing out on a certain level of definition that really makes a huge difference in how your body looks. When the muscles are popping because the skin is piercing close to the muscles because you're leaner, like that level of physique, you're only a few kilos away from that if you're the guy that's not working towards it and you're keeping yourself stuck above that 15% mark. The biggest one that I've noticed, and this is the one that's most important for me, obviously running a business, and you guys, whether you run a business, whether you have a high stress, high demanding job, whether you're a parent, whatever it is, it forces you to obviously want to be at your best. So the thing that I've noticed the most is obviously when you're at 10 to 15%, your testosterone is really high. That means your energy is very high and your drive is very high. I have noticed my energy levels, not only the highest they've ever been, but I sustain them pretty much throughout the whole day. Like I can go days where I'm on my laptop, like now this is 8:06. I've been up since 7, but I can be on here from 8 with an hour and a half break in between it, like split across the day to get my steps in and have my lunch, and I can be working till 8 p.m. and I can keep going if I wanted to. And like I'm not saying I do that every day, but I didn't have the ability to do that before. So the energy levels are higher, the drive is higher. Like I'm excited to get up most days. I'm excited to get on my laptop. I'm excited to work on my business. I'm excited to work on my body. Like I just watched some woman just absolutely leg it down the street. I don't know where she's going. But it's not just how you look at 10 to 15%. The being in that sweet spot is how you feel, and then how you feel, how that impacts your life in a positive way. For me, that like the abs are cool, but actually having that ability to feel that good every day, It's improved my coaching, it's improved my business, improved my relationships. Everything's improved because of it, and it's something that I've really, really noticed during the last, I don't know, I suppose the last 6 months, last half a year of being in this level of shape. And I think that's one big thing that a lot of people just kind of don't think too much about, and I think it's the most important one. The other reason is that, believe it or not, because I have a lot of guys that when they join the program or they chat to me, they're like, oh, I just feel like it would be hard, unrealistic. And trust me, it is realistic. 10 to 15% body fat this is the next point. It's not impossible to get there. I promise you that only the last 4 or 5 weeks of a diet that I've noticed myself was the toughest. And even then, it wasn't the most impossible thing. Appreciate for some people it's harder. Again, it's not easy, but for the most part of the diet, trying to get down to that level of body fat is not as hard as you think. It's not impossible. Get into 15% body fat, every guy can do it. I can promise you that. The closer you get towards 10, the closer that you get towards single digit, which I wouldn't recommend, we'll go over why in a minute. Of course, that's going to require way more sacrifice and a lot of challenge. But I found that the real sacrifice that I had to make in my diet of 17 weeks to get there was only the last 5 weeks. Before that, I had a lot of flexibility with my social events. I was enjoying it. I was having a beer or two at the weekend. I was having a meal out. It was only the last 5 weeks where I was really dialed in to get the last few kilos off that I had to make that sacrifice. And again, if you want to get to a lower percentage and close towards that 10, you do have to make that. So for me, I think it's a great place to be because you don't have to live like a bodybuilder to get there. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, there's sacrifice, but it's not the hardest and the most impossible thing to do. And then, which leads into the next point. It's not impossible to maintain. Like trying to maintain 10 to 15% body fat, especially close towards the 15 mark, is not impossible. And I've noticed myself, so I've been maintaining it now for 6 months, and I've maintained it in the past for like a few years. Never with this amount of, I'd say like muscle at this point. Yeah, but I've noticed that it hasn't like overhauled my life. I'm eating 3,000 calories a day. Like that's a lot of food. So I'm able to go out the weekend and have a meal out or a couple of meals out and not have to stress about what I pick and enjoy it. And it doesn't make a dent on anything. I'm still locked in with my steps every day. I'm still locked in with my training. I'm still locked in with my cardio and my nutrition 99% of the time. But I'm eating a lot of food. It's not taken away from my enjoyment of life. I'm going to a stag do this weekend. I'm going to enjoy it and not stress about what I'm doing. And I know I'm going to wake up on Monday. I'm going to be carrying a bit of water weight, but I'll be in the exact same position. Most people think that, if I get to this level of body fat, if I have abs, my whole life is just like I can't enjoy my socials, I can't enjoy my life, and I'm constantly focusing on this. Of course, you have to focus on keeping the result just as much as you work to get there, but it's not as hard as you think, and it will not take away from life in any sort of way. It adds to your life. Like I'd rather be more conscious about the things I'm having and be in shape and feel great than just having whatever I want 24/7, feeling like shit. Like it's just it's a choice that you have to make. Of course, I still have to choose that every day, but I personally haven't noticed that it's taken away from my life. It's only added to it. The other reason why I think this is the sweet spot kind of ties into what I said earlier. Anything above it, 15 to 20%, like going further towards the 20%, you're like in shape, but you're not quite there. You're not quite at that point. And most guys stop there because it gets a bit more challenging because you do have to make a little bit more sacrifices to get to that 10 to 15% in the short term. Again, it's not forever, just the short term. So they find themselves stuck, spinning their wheels and getting comfortable. And they never quite realise that just an extra 4 or 5 weeks of pushing can really take things to a completely different level if you're willing to go all in on it. The other side of the coin is like that's the comfortable zone. 10 to 15% is a sweet spot. Below that single digit, wouldn't recommend it. That I've done it before once, like 4 years ago. I just felt shit. Like I was hungry all the time. I was constantly thinking about every single calorie and worrying if I was, my abs weren't going to be as lean. Because I'm not shredded now. I'm just lean, right? Which is for me is where I want to be. It was hard to maintain. My gym performance suffered. My energy was low. It's the shit zone. You got the shit zone, the sweet spot, and then the comfortable zone. Like the sweet spot is why I always preach it. It's the best place to get to in terms of ease and the best place to maintain in terms of ease as well. So that's another reason. And then the last one is a lot of you guys, you want to build muscle as well. Like you want to get lean, but you've obviously, like myself, got goals to just keep improving, building strength, doing marathons, whatever it is. But what a lot of you don't realize is that being lean is the best place to be to build muscle. Your body internally is in the best position to be able to build muscle at a quicker rate. If you're like 20% body fat, I'm not saying you're not going to build muscle, you absolutely will, but it's not going to be as efficient or at a good rate that it would be that if you was leaner. And the perfect thing about that is, what I've learned from mistakes in the past is you don't need to keep cutting and bulking and cutting and bulking. I did that and I gained like 20 kilos and I had to cut back 15, and that was just the ball ache. I wouldn't do that again. So what I would do now is, where I am now, I'm just going to sit between 10 to 15% body fat, sit between where I'm at now, 72.5 to 75 kilos, and just eat at maintenance, train hard, and I'm going to build muscle that way. So you are primed to be able to take your body to that next level. If you stop in the comfortable zone, you're kind of limiting that opportunity. And the leaner you are as well, if you do want to add a few more kilos, at least if you add 4, 5, 6 kilos through a building or a bulking phase, whatever you want to call it, at least you're still going to be lean. You're not going to be in a position where you have to cut back loads of fat. So that's why I think it's just a great foundation for your next sort of goals of adding on more size and more strength. Again, I'm not talking about being a bodybuilder here. That's not what I preach on this channel. It's just looking like you lift, being lean, being athletic. But those are the main reasons. 10 to 15% body fat. Just to recap, you look the best you've ever looked. Your confidence is super high. You're ready for anything in terms of a holiday, in terms of an event, because your fitness levels are in a good spot. Your health is great. So your energy levels, your drive, your testosterone, all of these things are going to obviously impact your life in a really positive way. It's not impossible to get to, and it's very, very simple and easy to maintain. Going below it, you'll feel like shit. Staying above it, you'll be too comfortable and you won't quite look the way you want to look. And obviously your body is then primed to take things to a whole new level when you're there in terms of like building muscle. So that's basically it. Hope you guys found this helpful. Drop a like, drop a subscribe on the channel for more things that are coming, and there's a few freebies in the description for you as well.